Hello everyone, and welcome to another tutorial in the Go-To Shell series. In this series, we'll discuss tips, tricks, and techniques for shell scripting in 5 minutes or fewer. Before we begin, first, due to its ubiquity and my experience with it, we're going to use Bash, specifically version 4 and higher. Secondly, I'm not perfect, so if you do spot any errors or mistakes on my part, let me know in the comments or by email, and I'll try to get that corrected in the video. Welcome again, everyone. Today's lesson is going to discuss variables and how shell script uses them. It's going to be just the basics. We're going to figure out how to set some information in a variable and then retrieve the information from that variable. We'll do some advanced topics in another video sometime. So let's switch over here to our training VM. Before I start the timer, I want to go ahead and show you what we'll be doing, just in case you already know this and you want to sort of skip this video. We're going to cover some basics, which will show you how to use variables. I'm then going to show you an example of something people do all the time, and it is completely avoidable, but it bites people day after day. And then I'll follow up, if time permits, with some rules, and basically I'm going to tell you some things you can't do with variables, and this will prove that you can't actually do them, and I'm just not making stuff up. Alright, so with that, let's start the timer and get going on this. Alright, there we go. So the first thing I want to open is this basics file, and we'll go line by line with this. So to create a variable, you don't actually have to do anything. You don't have to instantiate it, create it. There's no object anything in Bash or Shell. You just type a bare word like var. You can name it anything you want, essentially, as long as you follow the rules. And then an equal sign immediately after it. You cannot have spaces on either side of this. And then what value you want to be put in there. If your value is going to contain a space, you need to put it inside of quotes. If you don't, you'll get an error. Another thing that's kind of surprising to me, given shell simplicity, is that case matters. So var lowercase and var uppercase are different. And if we had lowercase v, capital A, lowercase r, that too would be different. So you need to make sure to keep that in mind when you're using your variables. All the valid characters for variables are lowercase a to z, uppercase a to z, 0 through 9, and an underscore. So even though this is a really, really bad variable name, it's perfectly legal to use in Bash. Most shells are the same. The only caveat here is you can't start a variable name with a number. That will give you an error. Alright, one other special note. This is a bit Bash specific, but I think most shells are this way. Almost every variable that the shell itself uses, like a Bash internal variable or a shell internal variable, will be completely uppercased. So if you want to make sure that you never collide with a third-party variable that's being used or an internal variable that's being used, simply make sure to not make your variables completely uppercase. Let's see here. So you can see that we've assigned these values. This one has a bunch of extra spaces. We're going to go ahead and print these out here, and I meant to put an early exit here, and we'll run this and I'll show you what's going to happen. We echoed it here and we used double quotes. We echoed it here and we used double quotes. Then we echoed it here and we didn't. And you'll notice that when we didn't, we got a different result. The reason we got this result is because when you leave a variable bare, it is expanded exactly like this without the quote. So when echo saw this, what it actually saw was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different positionals. And as you should know from other videos, echo treats all positionals as different words and then puts a single space between them, which is exactly what happened here. So make sure that if you want to treat whatever's in your variable as a single atomic thing, one positional, that you quote it like we did up here. The other thing I want to show you before we get out of this file is how to unset variables or delete them. You don't actually need to. I can't really think of a lot of cases where you need to. I've done it a couple times for arrays, but that's something different. I'll go ahead and show it to you anyway. All you do is you call unset. Okay? Unset and the name of the variable. Notice there's no $sign. And after doing this, these two lines are going to be blank, and this one will still be valid because we didn't unset it. All right, so we'll just run that, and there's the proof. Okay, so we're down to about 1.5 minutes here. There's an example I want to show you. You guys have noticed in all my examples, I've been putting these curly braces around my variables. Here's why. When Bash goes to expand this out, it will see that var is a variable because there's a space after it, which is not a valid variable character, so it knows this is the whole name of it. When we run example, if we can type, we get sort of what we're looking for. But if we wanted to merge these two words together by removing the space, we'd have a problem. Varhappy is not a real variable. So if I try to write this out and run it, it's going to show up as nothing because it's not a real variable. The way you get around this, and ladies and gentlemen, please just do this all the time. Even if you're not in a string, even if you're just down here doing something like this, just put it around here. It doesn't cost you anything, and it saves you every time. Okay? So that is how you can put variables right up against other words and other text without having any conflicts. All right, now we've got about 30 seconds left, and I'm going to show you that the rules I've been talking to you about really do apply. In here, in here, we have equal sign with spaces on the left, right, or both. We have values that have spaces in them. We have a variable that we're trying to assign a value to, but we started it with a $sign. And we have a variable that started with a number. I told you all these things are invalid, and they are. We'll turn on line numbers. We'll run it because we're out of time. And there you go. Lines 4 through 7, 10, and 13 are all in error state. Okay? So with that, I have one last thing to tell you guys. It was asked of me to discuss typing. That means, are the variables strings? Are they numbers? How do you do Booleans? I will do a separate video to discuss those. The Cliff Notes version is everything in shell is a string. I'm probably going to get yelled at for that, but in reality it is. It has two different data structures that we'll talk about as well, array and associative arrays. But as far as data types, pretty much everything is a string, and the way you'll work with it's that way. So we'll cover that next time. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. If you can thumbs up, let me know this video was helpful. Subscribe and share this with your friends. Help spread the knowledge. If you have any feedback you want to give to me, or if other users are asking for help in the comments section, by all means, go ahead and provide some feedback and get that information shared. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.